Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and someone had asked me on my Facebook wall, and I've actually seen a few questions about this recently, of people asking about genetic testing. A bunch of people have taken out this service that has been offered. It's like a $300 service. A couple of YouTubers have done it, and they've talked about the results, and I guess that's made it popular. While I appreciate the idea, I think the advice being given from this is really premature, and I think in a way this is not necessarily a good thing, because these people are taking a limited pool of people's genetics and telling them things and then giving them training advice around it. Well, here's the thing. We don't have evidence that their training advice is in any way correlated with what these genetics show. We don't have data showing that your muscle fiber distribution genetically is going to affect the rep ranges and things that you should be training at. Every single person kind of says the same thing. Every person I've seen who's taken these tests always say, yeah, they say that I'm really slow twitch fiber dominant or a 50-50 mix. Well, I can assure you there's no human being on earth who is a 50-50 mix of slow and fast twitch. We are all slow twitch dominant. We are the most slow twitch dominant mammal on the face of the earth. We are also the weakest mammal on the face of the earth, and we have more endurance capacity than any other mammal on earth. We're an endurance-based species. We are massively slow twitch dominant. Strength is hard for us. Which that's a topic of a whole other video I might cover for you guys later, because a lot of you will find that interesting. We're all slow twitch dominant, so it's kind of silly when they say that in a video. I kind of wonder where they're getting their genetic data. And here's the other thing. People start asking, well, should that affect the rep range that I train at? No, why would it? First of all, your slow twitch fibers, you shouldn't be worried about hypertrophying them very much from your training at all, because they're not going to hypertrophy much. The more faster twitch, not necessarily the fastest twitch always, but ones near the top are the ones that are going to get the biggest from your training. All of your weight training is designed to reach those and fatigue those. Let me make that clear to you. All of your weight training, even your really high rep training to failure, the intended goal is to exhaust the faster twitch fibers with the later reps and to create metabolic fatigue in them. You're still working all the fibers, and that's irrespective of genetics. Every human being on earth has the exact same rate coding, no matter how your muscle fibers are distributed. Your rep range is only determined how long it takes for you to get there, and then sometimes affect how much total metabolic fatigue you get. And it's the metabolic fatigue created by the tension over time that is largely responsible for the hypertrophy, but it's not the only factor there. It's one of the largest factors, probably the largest factor, but it's not the only factor there. So your rep ranges shouldn't change based upon your muscle fiber distribution. And here's the other thing that people need to remember. So what if your genetics show a certain thing? They're not looking at all of your latent genetics, or are they? We don't know. They don't really tell you. Are they discussing how your lifestyle and growing up and your training has affected your epigenetics? Have they talked about bringing out latent genes? Because actually a lot of the superior genetic traits that you think of people having can be brought out through lifestyle and training. Most of us actually have those same genes. It's just that they're dormant. And for some people to turn on a gene that one person has had since childhood, they were born with it activated, we have to train 3 or 4 or 5 years for it to fully activate those genes. And that's something we've learned too with epigenetics and things in human beings. So, but they end up doing it later in life so they don't get the full effect of it. So what exactly are they studying with this genetic test? Are they looking at which ones, or they know which ones are latent or which ones are active, which ones have been expressed in you? You can carry a gene without it being expressed. And as far as muscle fiber distribution, your training affects that. You have a few fiber types that are kind of set, and everything else is intermediate fibers in between. All of those various intermediate fibers can shift in the other direction based upon your training. People who do more weight training, some of their more slow twitch fibers will start behaving and restructure themselves more like faster twitch fibers if you do large amounts of weightlifting. Something to consider there. So it's not necessarily what you're born with as your fiber distribution. Doesn't mean that your training over the years doesn't actually change your real distribution. It actually does. So this idea of spending the money for the genetic testing and then training around it as far as your lifting goes, not that useful. Is it useful to tell you what sports you might be good at? Possibly. You know, you could look at your possible genetic muscle fiber distribution and determine if you could ever be a top-level Tour de France person or just good at it. You could look at your muscle fiber distribution and determine, will you ever be really, really good at powerlifting or just be okay at it? Just be good at it if you train hard, but maybe not necessarily the best in the world. That's what the muscle fiber distribution might tell you genetically. If you're a genetic outlier who has a potential to be really, really good at a specific sport. It's not going to tell you so much just about how to train yet. We're not at that level with it yet. We're a long way off from it. So if you're paying for it for something like that, you're kind of throwing your money away. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.